Welcome back, class, to Maddux Monday. So I'm sorry last week we weren't able to do a Zoom call class, but this week it's on the agenda again, so we'll try again. I'm still going to try for Thursdays. That seems to work the best. So this week for Maddux Monday, we're going to be ending the Civil War. It's been a long couple of weeks for all of us. So here we go, finishing up the war. So this week's agenda is a little bit different. As you can see, there's no Khan Academy questions or videos this week. You're just going to be looking at the Maddux Monday video notes, and you're going to be reading a poem, and you are going to be doing a response to the Civil War in the form of a report card for Abraham Lincoln. Since it's a little weird to try to test you on some stuff here, you're going to be making a report card for Abraham Lincoln. And at the end of this video, I'll show you how to do all of that, and that will count as your test. Now, it is opinion-based, and as you know, a wrong opinion is an unsupported opinion. So if you state, your reasons why, then you're good to go. So don't think, oh, I need to get the right answer. Just a supported one will be perfect. So your poem today that you'll be starting will be Angel of the Battlefield, which is a poem that Clara Barton wrote that's actually called The Women Who Went to the Field, which means the battlefield. But she's known as Angel of the Battlefield because nurses are the ones who take care of people, and they were like the angels coming to help them out. So we're going to get started with our end of the war notes here. So here we go. So last week we did Gettysburg, and we know that kind of turned the war into the direction of the Union. Confederates, we're still trying their best here. So we got Chancellorsville and Fredericksburg also had heavy losses. This was before Gettysburg, and then we get Gettysburg and Vicksburg were both Union victories. Vicksburg was important because it was a railroad depot, and we know Gettysburg is important because it's the most northern battle. During all this, they were able to cut the South into two. So they were able to cut off supply lines, and they got control over the Mississippi River, which, as we know, Mississippi River gives you access to the center of the entirety of the United States, and you're able to, move supplies and people, which is very important. So you can look here on the map, and you can see where Vicksburg is right here, right along the Mississippi River. We know Gettysburg is up here in Pennsylvania. So those two wins for the Union really, really helped them turn this to the Union starting to be successful. So next thing, now we're going to start wrapping it up. So Ulysses S. Grant becomes the commander of the Union. Lincoln's had a hard time finding a good commander. Well, towards the end, he finally finds a good one. Ulysses S. Grant will eventually, later on, many years to come, will become president one day. He's also on our money. He decided to move the troops deeper south. So before it was kind of in the border states, now they're going down south. They wanted control of the Gulf of Mexico. Remember, bodies of water, very important to control. During this time, Lincoln was reelected president. I mean, imagine having to be commander-in-chief of the army and also do a reelection campaign. So he had a lot going on. And because of the Union victories, he was able to be successful in getting reelected as president. So we're going to have a destructive move here by Sherman, what's kind of called Sherman's March to the Sea. It's called a scorched earth policy, where they destroy everything in their path. So that way, no supplies could be gathered from the other side. So as they marched down to Georgia, they burnt everything, tore up the railroad tracks, took down the lines, as you can see here in this picture, took down telegraph lines, anything that could help someone out. Basically, let's just destroy it all. So as they marched to the south, they just burnt it all. So Georgia got really badly hit. I've been to Georgia, I've been to Atlanta, and they talk about a lot about how everything was just destroyed. Brick buildings did sometimes survive, but for the most part, they had to rebuild everything. So Sherman, you might have heard of him before. So his march to the sea. So he started north, went on down, and we're talking about the ocean here when we say, the sea. So if you ever heard of that before, Sherman's March, this is what we're talking about. It wasn't very fun or nice. Okay, so Sherman destroyed everything in the path, so that way the South couldn't rebuild as fast. Okay, next up. So April 2nd, we finally captured the flag. We took over Richmond. We got the Confederate capital. A couple days later, General Lee, which is, as we know, the Confederate general during this, is going to surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. So I know it looks like a really weird word. It's also how people sometimes misspell my last name. Appomattox sounds like Maddux, like Mrs. Maddux. So if you can't remember how to say it, think of me. It's okay. You can go Appomattox, like if I created an app. Appomattox. Okay, so at the courthouse, they're going to surrender. He's going to sign the document saying, yep, we're done. Our military has now been surrendered to the North. But it doesn't mean the war's over yet. So the Union decided to send the soldiers home. They could have held them all as prisoners of war and, sent them to jail for treason. But they decided, you know what? We're just going to let you guys go home. April 14th, so, a couple days after this, Lincoln is going to be assassinated and Andrew Johnson, his vice president, is going to become the new president. Imagine that call of, hey, war's over. Your boss just died. Now you're the boss. So Andrew Johnson's going to start his career a little bit unstable here. So by May 10th, Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederates, finally was captured. The war was officially over because you have to capture their flag and their leader. So Jefferson Davis, May 10th, was finally captured. But as you can see there, Lincoln was assassinated April 14th. So he didn't even get to see the full end of the war. Now, during all this, about 600,000 soldiers have died. 600,000. And don't ask, how many did the Union, how many did the Confederate? We're all Americans during this. So the total is a combined total. So our picture here is of General Lee signing a document saying the military is now yours, Union. And there they are, all watching him sign the paper. Okay, so now some fun facts about the Lincoln assassination. So, first fun fact, it happened at Ford's Theater, which is in Washington, D.C., and I have been there. So he went to go see a play with his wife. War's kind of wrapping up, time to de-stress a little bit. Let's go. Initially, he didn't want to go because he was really tired, which don't blame him. He's had the most stressful job ever. And there were some other people that were supposed to go with him. They decided to back out. And they didn't want to go. So they're like, okay, we're going to go anyways. Now, the newspaper was a genius at this time and announced that the Lincolns were going to the theater that night to go see the play Our American Cousin, which was a comedy. So good job to the newspaper for that, for announcing where the president was going to be. That same day, President Lincoln signed into effect the Secret Service. But they weren't to protect him necessarily. Secret Service was about money fraud and stuff like that. So he doesn't really have the security detail that our current president does. He still had some people because he was a very important leader. So he's going to go to the theater with his wife. They are going to watch the play. Now, this play is one that John Wilkes Booth knew a lot about because John Wilkes Booth was an actor at that theater. He was not in that play, but he knew the script. And so he picked an exact moment when he knew he could make a lot of noise because the crowd would be laughing. So he waited and then shot Lincoln in the back of the head. Now, this happened 5 days after the Confederates surrendered. Booth wanted to originally kidnap Lincoln and then hold him hostage, and so that way prisoners of war were released. Well, he was a little late on that. So he didn't get around to doing it when he originally wanted to. So Booth had to rethink his plan here. Also, it was a whole conspiracy because Andrew Johnson, the vice president, was supposed to be killed, and William Seward, the Secretary of State, was also supposed to be killed. But both were unsuccessful. Booth was the only one that got his shot in. So his whole plan now was to kill the Union president and, seek revenge because Booth here is a very hardcore Confederate. So he's going to shoot Lincoln in the back of the head. He is going to be on the run until April 26th is when they were able to capture him. So he was on the run for a while here. So the way this worked was Lincoln was sitting in the booth, the balcony here. Booth sneaks in, shoots Lincoln at the back of the head, then jumps off the balcony. Now, as he's jumping off the balcony, the spur from his boot gets caught on the bunting banner here, and he is not able to stick the landing. So he's going to sprain his ankle, which will make it harder for him to escape. He still was able to escape. He had his horse waiting for him. Now, when he jumped onto stage, he yelled out. There's different variations what he yelled out, but basically what people have gathered yelled out basically was the South will rise again. And he felt that killing Lincoln would cause the South to one day be as great as they used to be. So there you go, the Lincoln assassination. Now, Lincoln did not die immediately. He was taken across the street to a hotel where a doctor was in the crowd was able to tend to him for the last couple hours of his life. Lincoln did not die until the next day. He got shot in the head, survived the night, and then passed away. So it was a very sad day for, all Americans during this, because they had just gone through a horrific tragedy of the Civil War, and they've lost their beloved leader. Now, Andrew Johnson will now become president, and a lot of people in Congress, as we're going to learn next week, aren't going to like this very much, and they're going to try to get rid of him. Okay, next up, I'm going to explain how your test is going to work for this chapter for Civil War. So I'm not going to be testing you on what battle took place where in military history. We're going to more look at the leadership of Lincoln as your response to the Civil War. So here's your report card for Abraham Lincoln. It's called a Presidential Action Report Card. So the way it's going to work is you're going to be looking at a different presidential action. You're going to give him an actual letter grade, and then you're going to explain why he earned such grade. So first one is saving the Union. So you're going to look through your notes. This is an open note test, especially because it's opinion based. I want you to make sure you have a solid opinion about each action. So saving the Union, did he actually keep the country together? And I want you to answer that first by giving him a letter grade. So if you think he did an excellent job, give an A. If you think, oh my gosh, this guy was awful, he did nothing right, F minus. He's really bad. So, N, in the comments section, you are going to explain why he earned that grade. So if you think he did a terrible job, you need to be able to give facts. You can give quotes. Look back through our previous assignments we've done over the last couple of months. You have them all on Google Drive. You can give quotes here. Remember, the more solid your evidence, the stronger your answer will be. Since this is opinion-based, you don't know what I actually think about this. So, I want to hear what you guys think. That's how you're going to be graded. How you back up your comments. So if you give them a grade and you leave the comments empty, well, I'm not going to grade your thing because you haven't actually given me anything. Now, in your comments, make sure to leave out emotion and give facts. Well, why do you think he did a good job? Give some facts. Don't say, oh, he did a horrible job because I hated his beard. That's not how I grade your stuff. I don't be like, well, I didn't like your haircut, so you get an F. No, if you get an F, usually, there's reasons like maybe you didn't do your homework, stuff like that. So you're going to give comments here. And as you can see in the directions, 2 to 3 complete sentence minimum. If you want to do more, this is a Google Doc. Make it longer. Second thing you'll be grading him on is issuing the Emancipation Proclamation. If you were like, what the heck is that? Go back and look it up. This is open notes. Use this opportunity. Educate yourself. So you're going to give him a grade. Give me comments. Last thing, leadership. What do you think about his leadership skills during all of this? Now, last and final question. This one's pretty fun. If you were president during the Civil War, what would you have done differently or kept the same? Explain. So I'm talking about actions here, not style. So I don't, right? Oh, I would have had a different hat. That one looked weird. No. So about action-wise, I want you to critique him. If you thought, oh my gosh, he was wonderful, then explain all the great things he did. Or you think, I really don't agree with everything he did. Here's what I would have changed. Please, lots of space here, unlimited space. Just write till your heart's content. So this is how you're going to be graded. Now, you will be able to go back and make corrections. So after I grade it and you're not really pleased with your grade on how you graded somebody else, then go back and fix stuff. I will leave comments on what needs to be fixed. So it could be you gave them a grade and then you gave one sentence answer. Well, then you would need to go back and add more. So this is not a final, thing like a normal test of like your grade is your grade. Now you'll be able to go back and make corrections. The hope for all of this is that this will help your grade. All these assignments we've been doing are to help your grade. So don't not do it because you're like, well, I don't know. Well, then look it up. Figure it out. You guys can do this. You get to be the teacher this time. You get to grade a president because one day you'll have to make decisions on who you want to vote for. And this is a great way to see what makes a good president. So remember, if you have any questions, hit me up. You can email me. You can leave a comment. You can send me a message on Remind. There's lots of ways to talk to me. Never any excuses. So here you go. Here's your test.